call is simple. Recover a luxury cargo container rumored to hold Rolex watches before the weather window shuts.
Dynamic positioning locks us over the last known coordinates because a drift of meters can cost millions.
Before any lift, we document chain of custody rules. Every seal, every timestamp, every hand that touches it.
Batteries, thrusters, cameras, manipulator, one missed item, and the deep will swallow our only eyes.
Side scan plans a tight lawnmower pattern, fast enough to beat the storm, slow enough to read the seabed. The first pings roll out under the hull, painting the seabed in grayscale slices of possibility.
Contact bearing 090, range 1000. Mark waypoint Alpha.
We cross-check last shipping manifests and drift models. If the container rolled, it could be buried.
The A-frame swings outward, and the ROV becomes our only link to the bottom.
In the chop, the ROV steadies beside the hull. One slap of wave can snap an umbilical. Light dies fast, and the ocean turns our spotlight into a narrow tunnel through suspended silt.
A cross-current pushes hard. Every correction costs power we may need for the rigging later.
Switch to low-speed approach mode.
The seabed returns as a dim horizon, and the sonar contact becomes a direction, not a guess.
Silt blooms under the thrusters, too much thrust, and we blind ourselves completely.
The rectangle resolves. Corner castings, corrugated steel, a container half sunk like a gravestone. We hunt for identifying marks, because proof matters as much as recovery.
Confirmation comes in. This is our luxury cargo container, and now the real danger begins. Rigging. We calculate angles and loads. One wrong shackle size can turn $1 million lift into scrap metal.
Sea state ticks up. Every minute we delay increases container swing risk during the ascent.
Back on the bottom, we circle the container to map hazards before we ever touch it. Ghost netting clings to the steel like a trap, and one snag could pin the ROV in seconds. We cut only what we must. Uncontrolled debris can foul the rigging during lift. Silt has cemented the bottom edge. Benthic mud can hold a container like suction cups.
A dented corner changes everything. Load must shift to stronger points, or we rip it open underwater.
The first sling approaches the corner casting, and this is precision work done through a camera lens.
The pin threads cleanly, but vibration from current tries to back it out, so we add a safety wire.
2 points become 4. Redundancy is how professionals survive the deep. With 4 shackles locked, we check for twist. One hidden half-turn becomes a violent snap on Ascent.
The winch takes tension slowly. Our gauges watch for any spike that screams stuck.
Tension steady at 5,000. Holding.
The container shivers but doesn't rise. Suction still holds, and brute force would tear it. We jet the perimeter, breaking the seal of mud inch by inch. Slow is faster than failure.
Keep it steady. We're almost through the splash zone. Tension is normalizing.
The container lifts centimeters, enough to prove we're free, not enough to risk a swing.
Full lift means full responsibility. Clear the deck, lock the perimeter, and keep people out of the fall zone.
The winch starts the real ascent, and the ocean begins fighting back with every wave. We shadow the rising container to catch any snag early before it becomes a catastrophic twist.
A loose strand flutters near a sling. One wrap could saw through fibers under load.
The bottom fades away, And now the risk shifts from suction to swing. Motion becomes the enemy. Breaking the surface is the most violent transition. Buoyancy changes and wave slap can whip the load.
The container breaches, steel dripping, swinging, alive in the wind.
We walk it in like a pendulum, slow, controlled, never underneath the load.
The container settles onto a cradle, and the entire deck exhales, until the next step, documentation.
Every latch is photographed, every serial plate logged, because authenticity starts with custody.
TMC.
Salt is a slow killer. We rinse gently to preserve evidence without forcing water inside.
We crack a vent point millimeters, enough to equalize, not enough to contaminate. Stabilize readings, then proceed to seal cut.
The first seal is cut on camera, clean, deliberate, and fully documented.
Doors open a fraction, darkness inside, and the smell of the deep rolling out.
A borescope goes first. If cargo shifted, a full swing door could trigger an avalanche.
With stability confirmed, we open wider, revealing secondary crates engineered to survive impact. We lift one crate at a time, keeping the rest untouched until counts and labels are verified. Inside the clean lab, we trade speed for control. Salt, moisture, and time are now the enemies. The seal breaks, and we reveal waterproof cases, still unopened, still unknown.
The first case opens, and the Rolex boxes appear, intact enough to make the room go silent.
We triage like surgeons, separate damp from dry, isolate corrosion risk, and never rub grit into steel. Gentle airflow and desiccant do the work. Heat would warp gaskets and ruin evidence.
Authentication begins with numbers, serials, references, and consistency across batches.
One piece shows salt intrusion. We isolate it immediately to protect the rest of the recovered lot. The specialist confirms a safe stabilization path. Rinse chemistry is controlled, never improvised. Stabilization succeeds. Now we can expand the inventory without fear of cross-contamination.
Case 2 reveals a denser pack. More boxes, tighter foam, better survival odds.
We sort by visible condition only. Identification comes after drying to prevent handling damage. The technician changes gloves between bins for meticulous labeling.
Each watch gets a photo set, front, back, crown, clasp, because a story is built on proof.
Back on deck, the container remains secured. No shortcuts, no wandering hands, no missing minutes.
We pull a second crate and immediately reseal the container doors to preserve the scene.
The lab workflow becomes a rhythm. Open, document, dry, verify, and package. We sample batch A for deeper checks, movement, gasket integrity, and signs of tampering. Proved items go into shock-proof vault cases, because the sea isn't the last risk. Paperwork travels with the cargo. Without it, recovered Rolex becomes just another rumor. The vessel turns into the swell, protecting the recovered container and the lab's delicate inventory.
Weather closes faster than forecast, and we secure everything as if the sea wants it back. Tie-downs tightened, container last, lab mod.
In heavier seas, shock loads spike. Our best defense is discipline and redundancy. Confirm all cargo straps holding.
Inside the lab, the swaying ship becomes a test of patience. One slip could scratch a bezel forever.
Vault cases come out sealed, numbered, and ready. This is how recovered value stays recovered. Prepare for port arrival security handoff.
At port, custody expands.
Security, officials, and insurers join the story on paper and camera.
The signature changes hands. The timeline is continuous, unbroken, unquestionable. Close-up of signatures, seal numbers verified.
Final authentication uses better optics and databases. Small details separate genuine history from noise.
The report prints like a verdict. Counts, conditions, serials, and recovery notes.
Packaging is the last craft. Shock foam, humidity control, tamper seals, and trackable locks.
A secure convoy forms because value attracts attention long after the ocean lets go.
The vault intake repeats the ritual. Seal numbers read aloud, matched, and logged again.
With custody closed, we can finally linger. Macro shots of steel, loom, and the scars of salt water.
Back on the ship, the empty cradle reminds us. Engineering, not luck, brought the cargo home.
Closeout notes the hazards we beat: mud suction, ghost nets, swing loads, and time itself.
A new waypoint appears, another luxury cargo container, another deadline, another fight with depth.
The sea looks calm again, but we've learned. Calm is just a pause between problems.
We revisit the moment of confirmation. Corner castings in the dark, proof emerging from silt.
As you can see, the main hoist control manages the vertical movement, while the left joystick handles the slewing or rotation of the crane.
In the lab, every scratch tells a story. Salt, time, and survival inside a sealed container. The final count lands heavy. Recovered value isn't a fantasy when evidence is airtight. The last case clicks shut, and a tamper seal turns recovery into record.
Archive data means accountability. If anyone questions the Rolex recovery, the timeline answers.
The statement stays conservative, facts only, because the paperwork speaks louder than hype.
Out here, the ocean keeps its secrets until we bring machines, discipline, and patience.
Next mission starts the same way. Tools staged, roles assigned, and no room for ego.
Sonar warms up, screens glow, and the hunt resets. New grid, same deep darkness. The vessel holds the box, and the sea pretends nothing happened until the next ping hits bottom. We end where we began, on steel decks, under heavy cranes, chasing proof beneath miles of water.
The recovered Rolex story is not treasure. It's logistics, engineering, and accountability under pressure.
Teaser, another luxury container, deeper water, stronger current. Our equipment will be tested harder.
Teaser glimpse, a new anomaly on sonar, half buried and waiting in silence.
The Rolex hero shots remain sealed in records because authenticity is a chain, not a moment.
Authorities finalize custody, and the recovery becomes official history, not internet myth.
Crew debrief highlights the lesson. Stop early, measure twice, and never rush a lift.
Shackles are cleaned, inspected, and retired if doubtful, because metal fatigue doesn't forgive.
The ROV is washed down and respooled, ready to become our eyes again.
The ocean rolls on, indifferent. Our only advantage is preparation. Final note: recovered luxury survives when we respect moisture control, documentation, and time. Credits roll over real paperwork, names, signatures, and the chain that kept the Rolex recovery clean.
Mark it.
The captain doesn't celebrate. He points at the screen and says the only word that matters: again. The deck resets into order. ROV staged, slings aligned, and the next story ready to begin.
The seabed waits, and our lights cut the dark like a knife. A final close-up shows the recovered Rolex ticking, proof that the deep doesn't always win.
One mission closed, another opens, because luxury cargo never stops moving, even when it sinks. The horizon swallows the ship, but the process remains. Search, confirm, rig, lift, verify.
This is how Rolex was salvaged, by a massive salvage rescue vessel, and by light-skinned Caucasian people